It's a rule. The government that tries to plan the economy almost always stuffs it up. And later on in the show, I'll introduce you to Argentina's new president because, boy, does this character believe that. But Labor, not so much. Our Prime Minister has a plan, of course, as I mentioned, to get us to buy electric cars, nearly 90% electric cars, not petrol, just 7 years from now. Global warming and all that. Not that these cars will make any difference because, as you know, they run on electricity. 2/3 of that comes from fossil fuels. And they take more energy to make. But as I said, government's own transport department says, well, even then, you're not going to get your 89% of new car sales electric by 2030. Try maybe 27%. So why does the government look like making only 1/3 of its target for electric car sales? Joining me is Paul Gover, a motoring writer genius who was what were you, Paul? You got in the Hall of Fame of supercars as well, weren't you? I'm so jealous of that as well. But Paul, how come this target is being undershot so badly?
Well, it's a whole raft of reasons, Andrew. Basically, not enough cars, not enough interest, not enough infrastructure. The cars are too expensive. They don't do what most Australians want their cars to do. And that's without talking about pickups that are the big rage these days. But basically, they're too expensive and they can't do what people want to do. You can't really travel long distances in an electric vehicle these days. But
Paul, I know that you're smart on all this stuff. You were saying this years ago. I'm not smart. I was saying this on cars, and I was saying this some time ago. Tell me how the government, though, which has got all the money to pay all these experts, got it so wrong.
Well, I think one of the things is that if you ask people the right question, you'll get the right answer. So the first question is, are you considering buying an electric car for your next car? Huge percentage of people around the world, over 80% in some countries, say, yes, I'm considering one. And then they stop because the next question is, will you actually buy one? And the answer to that is, most likely these days, no, not yet. Even in Europe, where the pickup of electric cars is much higher and they're further down the road, right now, research out of Europe is saying people are going to wait 3 to 5 years until better electric cars at better prices come along.
I mean, that's I've been attracted by the tales of very rapid acceleration. I like that safety features and all that. But again, price and not enough convenience when you're driving the long distances. Now, I mentioned that Daily Mail reporter driving from Sydney to Melbourne and back again, 3 stops each way, nearly an hour and a half of just standing around. I mean, is that something that's going to be fixed anytime soon?
No, not anytime soon. The only company that's got it right is Tesla, which is one of the reasons why they sell so well in Australia, around the world. They set up the infrastructure with their high-speed charging system. And if you've got a Tesla, you can do that sort of trip not too badly. But I also have a friend who bought another brand of car. He wanted to go from Canberra to Melbourne. Took him 3 days, Andrew. Because the other thing is the infrastructure we do have, because 3 days, because the infrastructure we do have, the charging places we do have, there are a lot of them that don't work and there are a lot of them that are very slow. The other thing, Andrew, if you happen to turn up, it's not like a petrol pump where if you pull up behind somebody else, they'll be gone in 5-10 minutes. Well, if you turn up behind somebody at an electric charging place, you could be there waiting for an hour. And if you're the second person there, that's 2 hours. And I know this because I've been to charging places, I've talked to the people who own electric cars, and I've sat in the queue myself for over an hour a couple of times to charge up an electric car. I was road testing.
Oh, just one thing about that story that knocked me back, and you might be able to tell us what the facts are. That story was that it cost more to recharge her electric car on this back and forth, Sydney, Melbourne, Sydney, than it would to fill a petrol car. Can that be right?
It could be right. I actually did something the other day where I charged the vehicle because I was worried I wasn't going to get back to where I needed to drop the car off. It cost me $30 to charge it up to get the range that I needed. Now, because that was on the highway, that's when electric cars are at their worst for fuel economy, when a combustion car's at its best. A combustion car is running at low RPM, constant speed, so you're not accelerating and decelerating, all of that sort of stuff. Whereas in an electric car, you've got a constant battery drain, and you've got the electric, you'll have the air conditioning on and stuff. So its maximum drain is at a highway constant speed. Because one of the good things about electric cars is when you drive them around the city and suburbs, when you lift off, that's how they get what's called regenerative braking. Don't need to know what that is, Andrew. But basically it charges up the battery. So when you're going stop, start, you get the battery topped up again. If you're driving down the highway from Sydney to Melbourne or Melbourne to Sydney, it's a constant drain and there's nothing you can do about it.
Mate, I do know about regenerative braking, probably because you told me. But anyway, should the government give up then this dream of 89% electric car sales by 2030 and push even, or should it push even harder to make us go electric by banning gassier petrol cars like it says it wants to do?
Well, they're not going to ban that. They're not going to ban combustion engines. Nowhere in the world is doing that. There are countries that have tried to tax us excessively to get people out of the combustion cars. But interestingly, the UK, which had moved their target for all electric sales, they moved it forward from 2035, which is the rest of Europe, to 2030. They've actually gone back 5 years. So it's not working in the UK either. You can't tax people. It's like you can't spend your way to a profit. You can't tax people to make them give up stuff they actually need. And we see that every day. What they need to do is have better incentives, a clearer plan, because just I can pick a number out of my back pocket here. I could say that by 2030, we'll have 47% electric cars. But the other thing is technology is changing all the time. One of the good things that's coming along is what's called a plug-in hybrid. So it's a hybrid where you can plug it into the wall socket and run it fully electric for up to, most of them these days are about 60 kilometres. You can get that sort of range out of them. Ford are bringing a Ranger, their pickup, with a plug-in hybrid. But how much is it going to cost you, Andrew? It's going to cost you $80,000 for one of those.
This is the thing. This is the thing, the practicalities, Paul Gover. Always great to talk to you.